Okay, so I just have written the definition for this. Corner points, okay, Anurag, Saurav putting the intersecting and the corner points. Okay. See, this feasible layer is a polygon. It is a closed polygon, right? We can say it is a closed polygon. Now, what you are saying is, so we have to take the corner points of this particular polygon, and you have to substitute that particular corner points in the objective function. So among those corner points, so at one corner point, you will be getting the maximum value for z. So you are saying that one, which is entirely correct. But the question comes here is, why we are considering only corner points? Why not other points? Because corner points gives maximum profit. Okay. Now let us say Sai Nitesh, if it is a minimization problem, then also we have to go for corner points or any other points. So same question Dinesh also, for Dinesh also. If it is a minimization problem, then also should we have to go for corner points or any other points? Okay, so they are limiting values beyond which feasible region not available. Very good, Shrimay. Your answer is also correct. We want to maximize. Dinesh, you already said. Okay. Shrimay, you are correct because they are the limiting points. That means if you go beyond that, you will be going outside the feasible region. So where you cannot take the points. Okay. So you have to just look at the limiting points, right? Now let's understand this clearly. Okay. Let's understand this clearly. Why we are taking only, or why we are considering only corner points. That thing we are going to see now. Okay. Now, so to understand this, let us consider a point here. Let us say it is 1, 1. Let us say 1, 1, it is a point. So now if this is a feasible point, now if you substitute this 1, 1 in the objective function, you will get some solution which is known as feasible solution. Okay. Now what I am doing is, now we are in this direction. So if I am moving in this direction, what will happen? Your x2 will be constant and your x1 will be increasing. So maybe if your x1 is increasing, what will happen? Your objective function will be definitely increasing. Now let us say if I am moving in this direction also, what will happen? Your x1 will be constant and your x2 will be increasing, and definitely your objective function will also be increasing. Or let us say if I am moving like this, what will happen? Again, both x1 and x2 will be increasing and your objective function will also increase. Okay. So like this, up to which point I can move? I can reach boundary. I cannot go beyond the boundary because we'll be moving outside the feasible region. Similarly, whenever you are moving like this also, you can reach up to boundary. Definitely at the boundary, you will be getting a value which is greater than this particular value. Similarly, whenever you are moving like this also, you will be reaching the boundary only. Okay. So now this is the maximization problem. That's why we are moving in this direction. That means we are trying to maximize the objective function. If it is a minimization problem, we will be moving downwards in this direction. That's all. Okay. Now the conclusion from this particular thing is, you will be getting a better solution. So listen this statement carefully. Okay. So ultimately, this manufacturing company has to decide these two variables. What are these two variables? A number of units of chairs and number of units of tables. Okay. So definitely the profits on these two products will be different. So ultimately they have to decide these two variables in such a way that their total profit is maximum. So again, to solve these type of problems, you can use linear programming. Now I have taken, just for our simplicity, I have taken only two variables. Okay. You can imagine. So if a company is producing some 10 different types of products, then that particular company will be having 10 variables like this. Okay. So you have to solve for the particular 10 variables. Now your total profit will be a function of these two variables. So what I am just saying here is, your total profit is depending on these two variables. That means how many number of units you are manufacturing these chairs and tables. Okay. So ultimately your total profit will be a function of these two variables. So ultimately what you have to do, you have to decide, or you have to find out these two variables using some mathematical tools and techniques, which is this linear programming. Okay. So we are saying that, I just said that we are going to solve some straight line equations. So linear in the sense, straight line equations. So we are just going to solve the straight line equations in which you will be having these variables. Okay, so after solving those straight line equations, you can find out these two variables. So after finding these two variables, you can find out your maximum profit also, right? So I just again one example. So again we'll take some more examples for this, so that we can understand this application part clearly. So let's take a question. So just write down a question, I'll dictate. A company manufactures chairs and tables. A company manufactures chairs and tables. A company manufactures chairs and tables, full stop. The raw material is sufficient to manufacture. The raw material is sufficient to manufacture 100 chairs and 80 tables. The raw material is sufficient to manufacture 100 chairs and 80 tables, respectively. Full stop. The company can store a total of, only 150 items. The company can store a total of only 150 items. The company can store a total of only 150 items. Full stop. The profits on each chair and table, are 400 rupees and 600 rupees, respectively. Find the maximum total profit. So, is it okay? So everyone has copied this question, right? Just go through this question. Again, this particular question itself is the application of linear programming. Okay. So you can just go to any industry. Okay. You will get this particular data. So after collecting this data, you can solve and you can find out the variables which are present in this particular data. Okay. So what they are saying? So a company is manufacturing some chairs and tables, right? And the raw material is just sufficient to manufacture 100 chairs and 80 tables. And there is a restriction on storage. So it can store only 150 items, right? And they are saying that profits on each chair and table is 400 rupees and 600 rupees respectively. So what you have to do, you have to find out the total maximum profit. Now just for our simplicity, I just have taken only two variables here. Okay. So whenever you are having some data like this, maybe in GATE examination also you can expect these type of problems. Okay. So where they will be giving some data to you, from that particular raw data, you have to formulate a mathematical problem. After formulating a mathematical problem, you have to solve that particular problem and you have to find out the total maximum profit. Okay. Now from this particular given data, so can we write can we form a mathematical problem from this? Can we form a mathematical problem? So whenever you are dealing with this type of data, your first step should be you have to identify the variables. That means ultimately what I have to find. So after solving these straight line equations or other things, ultimately what I have to find, that you have to decide first. So after reading the question, you just have to decide what are the things which you have to find ultimately. So what are the variables here? So please reply. My first question is, what are the variables here which we have to find ultimately? So please reply fast. What are the variables we have to find? Chairs and tables. Very good, Haribhaskar. So let us say chairs. So x1 number of chairs we are producing and tables we are producing x2. Okay. So ultimately these are your variables. This you have to produce. Number of chairs and number of tables. Right. Now how can we write total profit? So total profit, please reply. Total profit is equal to, how can we write total profit? See, profit for each table and profit for each chair is given in the question. Okay. So what is the profit for each chair? It is, I think, 400 rupees I have told. So profit on each chair into number of chairs plus profit on each table into number of tables. So I hope this is fine. So any doubt in this? Total profit is equal to 400x1 plus 600x2. Now we are having one more statement, which is raw material is sufficient to manufacture only 100 chairs and 80 tables, right? So how can we write this particular thing? I mean, in mathematical form. So if you want to convert this particular statement in mathematical form, how can we write? So x1 represents number of chairs. So it is limited to only 100. That means maybe 100 you can produce maximum, or less than 100 also you can produce. So more than 100 you cannot produce because raw material is not sufficient. You are not having enough raw material to produce more than 100. So less than or equal to 100. So x1 variable, it should be less than or equal to 100. Similarly, what about x2 variable? Number of tables, you can produce maximum 80 or less than 80 also, right? So more than 80 you cannot produce again because you are not having raw materials. Now one more statement is given. So there is some restriction on storage space. That means let us say in a warehouse, so they can store only 150 items. Total they are saying, in the sense, number of chairs plus number of tables, they can store less than or equal to 150. So we can convert that particular statement, or we can write that particular statement mathematically in inequality form like this. Now I am just writing one more condition here, which is x1, x2 greater than or equal to 0. Because x1 and x2 are your variables. These are number of chairs and number of tables. They can be never negative. They can be 0 or they can be positive value. But number of chairs or number of tables, it can be never negative, right? That's why I am taking this condition also. This condition means x1 is greater than or equal to 0 and x2 is also greater than or equal to 0. So I am just writing one more thing here. So it is subjected to, see this total profit, it is subjected to some restrictions, right? So I am just writing it as subjected to these particular restrictions. Now you are having some names here. So initially we called this as variables, right? So these are known as decision variables. Decision variables. Okay. So that means finally you are going to decide these particular variables after solving or after following this linear programming methods. Okay. So these variables which you are going to find finally are known as decision variables. Next. So this function I am just equating it to z. So this function we call it as objective function. So I am just giving some names to these equations. Okay. So this function which you are going to maximize or minimize, we call it as objective function. Now is it a maximization problem or minimization problem? It is a maximization problem because profits are given in the question. See, whenever they are giving any questions, they will never mention it as, they will never mention the given problem as maximization or minimization. So if at all they are giving data like this, okay. So if profit values are given, then you have to maximize the problem. And if some production cost is given, then it becomes a minimization problem. That you have to decide just by looking at the data. So as profit values are given, it is a maximization problem. Okay. So this we call it as objective function. Where maybe your objective function may be a maximization function or it may be a minimization function. So this objective function is having two variables which are x1 and x2, which we have to decide finally. Now, now these three we call it as constraints. Constraints, okay. Constraints or restrictions, anything we can say. Constraints are limits. So limiting values for x1 and x2 variables. That we can say, constraints. Okay. And this we call it as non-negativity restrictions. Non-negativity restrictions. Okay. Now this entire problem. So whatever we have written, from the given data we have written one problem, right? So this entire problem we call it as LPP. In the sense, linear programming problem. Okay. See, a linear programming problem should have linear objective function and linear constraints. Okay. So if a problem is having linear objective function and linear constraints, then we call that particular problem as linear programming problem. So I hope you got this one. So just from the given data we have written the problem. So now after writing the problem, I just have given some names, okay. So throughout our linear programming chapter, we will be following these names only. So maybe whenever they are asking questions also, they will ask like this only. So objective function is given, it is minimization, it is maximization, okay. So this particular objective function is subjected to constraints like this and so on. They will be using these terms only. Constraints or restrictions, both are same, okay. So always your x1 and x2 values will be greater than or equal to 0 only. So in our syllabus, we are dealing with these two only. x1, x2 should be greater than or equal to 0. So I'll take some doubts if you're having anything. So I just have given some notation. Okay. So what we have done, so we were having some data. I mean, we went to an industry and we have collected some data. So it is very simple data which is given in the form of a question. So ultimately we have to find out the maximum profit. So what we have done, we just have converted the data into a mathematical problem. So which is this one, linear programming problem. So we have converted that data into a mathematical problem. Now you have to solve this particular problem. For solving this problem, we are having basically two techniques, or else in our syllabus we are going to see only two techniques. We are having so many techniques, but we are limiting ourselves or our syllabus to only two techniques, which is graphical method and the second one is simplex method. So we'll be starting with graphical method first. So if you are having doubts regarding this, you can ask now. See in the question, okay, so I'll repeat this maximization function. See in the question, profits are given on each chair and each table. So profit per chair it is given as 400. So into number of chairs I am doing. So on one chair you are getting 400 rupees profit. So on some 10 chairs or 15 chairs, in the sense you have to multiply with the number of chairs, right? So this will be the 400 into x1. And next, so on one table you are getting profit as 600 rupees. So you have to multiply it into number of tables. So this is the profit on tables and this is the profit on chairs. But we need total profit. So add them. That's all. Okay. So how I am saying it is a maximization function. So again it is common sense only. See if profits, let us say you are a manufacturer, okay? You are a manufacturer. So would you like to maximize your profit or would you like to minimize your profit? So answer this question. Haribhaskar, let us assume that you are having a company, you are a manufacturer. So would you like to maximize your profit or would you like to minimize your profit? Maximize, that is why it is a maximization function. Very simple. Okay. Like, let us say if some production cost is given, instead of profits, okay, let us say some production cost is given in the question. So as a manufacturer, you will be trying to reduce your production cost, yes or no? Then it becomes a minimization problem. Very good. So any other doubts regarding this? So LPP in the sense, so linear programming problem. So first condition, so objective function should be linear and your second condition will be constraints. Okay. So if both objective function and constraints are linear, then you can call that particular problem as linear programming problem. Okay. So in our syllabus we will be discussing or we will be dealing with only linear programming problems only. That means we are not dealing with any quadratic equations here. So we will be always dealing with linear equations only. Linear objective functions and linear constraints or linear inequalities you can say. Okay. So we are not dealing with any quadratic or cubic equations here. Throughout our syllabus we will be dealing with only linear things only. Linear objective function and linear constraints. That's why we are saying this name of the chapter is also linear programming, not non-linear. So we have formulated a problem and now we are going to solve this problem using graphical method. Okay. So first we will see graphical method, then we will move on to the simplex method. Condition of maxima on objective function. How can you use maxima? See, I mean, maybe I think, Shrimay, I'll try to say what you are asking. So, maximization in a sense, maybe you might be asking things which is related to mathematics, like whenever you are having some function, okay, what you will be doing? You will be differentiating that particular function, okay, and you will be finding some critical points, right. So, that's what I was talking, okay, and you will be finding some critical points. So, that is the case when you are not having these constraints, okay. That means if there is no upper restrictions, then you can follow that method and you can find, okay. But now here you are having some restrictions, okay. That means some upper restrictions are there. So you cannot follow the same procedure which you might have seen in mathematics, okay. So in mathematics you might have seen there will be no restrictions on these x1, x2 values, okay. So just write down the steps. I mean, how we have formulated a problem. First step in formulating a problem is you have to identify the decision variables. Write down step number 1. Step number 1, identify the decision variables. That is your first step. Identify the decision variables. That is your first step. Second step, write the objective function. Third step, write the constraints. And fourth step, write the non-negativity restrictions. write the non-negativity restrictions. So what is our first step? Identify the decision variables. Second step, write the objective function. Third step, write the constraints. And fourth step, write the non-negativity restrictions. Okay. See, I am not solving this particular problem, okay? So which we have already, we have formatted some problem, right? So I am not solving that problem with graphical method, okay? I am just taking one more problem to solve using graphical method. Because previously, what are the question we have seen? There we have taken some very big values like 400, 600, okay? So it becomes difficult to represent those values in a graph, okay? So that's why I am taking one more question which is similar to that particular question, where we are using some small values so that we can easily understand how to solve a given question using graphical method. So after solving this particular question, you can go back to the previous question, okay, and you can solve that particular question. Now, so I am just taking one more question which is similar to the question. So let us say there is a maximization problem. So already it is given in the question, okay, maximization. So 6x1 plus 5x2, and let us say it is subjected to the constraints x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 5 and 3x1 plus 2x2 less than or equal to 12 and x1 comma x2 greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so this problem is similar to the previous problem only. So previous problem it was also a maximization problem, and now this is also a maximization problem which is subjected to some constraints. Okay, so just to take small values I am taking this problem. Okay, so let us say this is directly given in the question. Now you have to solve this particular problem using graphical. So graphical method in the sense, so we have to use some graph to solve this particular question. So if you observe this particular question or objective function, we are having how many variables? 2 variables. Like in the previous question also we had 2 variables, number of chairs, number of tables. Similarly here also we are having 2 variables. So let us take x1 variable on x-axis and x2 variable on y-axis. Now can you tell me what could be the possible limitation for this graphical method? What could be the possible limitation for this graphical method? Okay, I am not getting any replies. 3D, only 2 variables, okay. So 3 dimension we cannot go, okay. So the basic or the major limitation for this particular graphical method is we can solve only 2 variables using graphical method. See x1, x2, so 3 dimensional we cannot go, okay. So we can solve only 2 variables using graphical method. If a given question contains more than 2 variables, then you cannot solve that particular question using graphical method. You have to go to one more method which is known as simplex method. That's why we are going for one more method which is simplex method. If the question contains more than 2 variables, you cannot solve using graphical method, go to the simplex method. Okay. So that is the basic limitation of the graphical method. Fine. So to solve this particular problem, so ultimately what we have to find? We have to find x1 and x2 values. So which is maximizing this particular objective function. Let us say it is z. Right. Now what you have to do is you have to plot this particular constraints in the graph. See, these constraints are in the form of inequalities. You cannot directly plot this inequality in the graph. So what you have to do? First you have to plot this particular straight line which is x1 plus x2 is equal to 5. Plot this straight line in the graph and then identify the region which is satisfied by this particular constraint. You cannot directly plot the inequalities in the graph. So what I am doing? I am plotting the straight line, and after plotting the straight line, I am identifying the region which is satisfied by this particular constraint. Now, let us say to plot a straight line, at least we need 2 points. To plot any straight line in a graph, we at least need 2 points. Now how to get points? Put x1 equal to 0, you will get some x2 value, and put x2 equal to 0, you will get some x1 value. So all these things maybe we have seen in our school level, right? So x1 plus x2 is equal to 5. It is a straight line equation. So I am putting x1 equal to 0, x2 will be 5, and if I am putting x2 equal to 0, x1 will be 5. So similarly, find out the points for this inequality also. Put x1 equal to 0, your x2 will be 6, and put x2 equal to 0, your x1 will be. So I hope this thing is clear for you. So you cannot plot the inequalities directly in the graph. So we are plotting the straight lines first. So to plot a straight line, we need at least 2 points. We found the points. So put x1 equal to 0, x2 will be 5. Put x2 equal to 0, x1 will be 5. Similarly, calculate the points here also. Now let's plot this particular first constraint, 0, 5. So it is on this axis. Let us say 0, 5 is somewhere here. And 5, 0, it is somewhere here. Now join these 2 points. This is a straight line, which is x1 plus x2 is equal to 5. But what we need? We need the region satisfied by this particular inequality. Now you just tell me, what will be the region satisfied by this inequality? Whether downwards of this particular straight line or upward? Please reply. So the region satisfied by this particular constraint is either downwards or upwards. Downwards, very good. Okay, so why downwards? Anshu, you are saying upwards. No, it is downwards. Okay, it is not upwards, it is downwards. So you can remember like this. Whenever you are having less than or equal type inequality, your region will be downwards. So the region satisfied by this particular inequality will be downwards because it is of less than or equal type inequality. Now what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? That means if you take any point from this region, and if you substitute that particular point in this first constraint, it will be satisfied. Now let us say origin. So origin is downwards. Substitute origin 0, 0 in this inequality. So 0 less than or equal to 5, which is true. That means region should be downwards. Okay. So I am just representing it with an arrow. Downwards. Region should be like this. Downwards. Okay. So this is the region which is satisfied by this particular inequality. This one. Okay. Now what about the second constraint? 0, 6. So plot this 0, 6 and 4, 0. So join these 2 points again. Now again just tell me what is the region satisfied by this particular constraint. Again it is of less than or equal to type. In the sense it should be towards the origin or downwards of this particular straight line. So it should be like this. Now we are just identifying the common region between these 2 inequalities or constraints. Now this is the common region. Common region in the sense this region will be satisfied by both the constraints or all the constraints which is present in LPP. That means if you take any point from this common region, that point will be satisfied by both the constraints. If you substitute that particular point here, both the constraints will be satisfied. Okay. So ultimately what we found? We found that, or we have seen that your optimal solution or the maximum value of Z will be in this region, because that particular point should satisfy these 2 constraints. Okay. That means in this particular region, your optimal solution for this problem is existing. Okay. Now, so we are having one more name for this common region. So we call it as common region or feasible region. Common region or feasible region. Now if you take any point from this feasible region and if you substitute that particular point in the objective function, you will get some solution. That solution we call it as feasible solution because it is a feasible point. So you are substituting one feasible point in the objective function. The solution which we are getting will be feasible solution. Okay. Now how many feasible solutions are possible for us? So please reply. How many feasible solutions are possible for us? How many feasible solutions are possible for us? 4. Please listen my statement carefully. Okay. Saurav, feasible solution means, have you understood this feasible region? This is your feasible region. Feasible region or common region? Both are same. Common region or feasible region in the sense, it is a region satisfied by both the constraints. That means if you take any point from this region, blue shaded region, okay, if you substitute that particular point, both the constraints will be satisfied. So that point satisfies both the constraints. Okay. So that is what we call it as common region or feasible region. Right. Now, how many points are there in this feasible region? How many points are there in this feasible region? How many points will be there in feasible region? Infinite number of points will be there. Very good, Abhimanyu. So infinite number of points will be there. So each and every point will be giving you some solution. Okay. So that means if you are taking any point from this feasible region and if you are substituting that point in the objective function, you will be getting a solution which is known as feasible solution. As we are having infinite number of feasible points, you will be getting infinite number of feasible solutions. Among those infinite number of feasible solutions, one solution will be your optimal solution. That means that particular solution will give you the maximum value of Z. Okay. So I hope it is understood now. So you are having infinite number of feasible solutions for this particular problem. But among that particular infinite number of feasible solutions, you will be having one optimal solution. Now you tell me how to find that optimal solution. That means how to find the maximum value of Z. How to find the optimal solution, because you will be having infinite number of solutions for this problem. Okay. So you are having infinite number of points in this region. That means you will be having infinite number of solutions. But among those infinite number of solutions, you will be having only one optimal solution, where your Z value is maximum. Right. Now how to find that particular optimal solution? Any idea? Okay, so I just have written the definition for this. Corner points, okay, Anurag, Saurav putting the intersecting and the corner points. Okay. See, this feasible region is a polygon. It is a closed polygon, right? We can say it is a closed polygon. Now what you are saying is, so we have to take the corner points of this particular polygon and you have to substitute that particular corner points in the objective function. So among those corner points, so at one corner point you will be getting the maximum value for Z. So you are saying that one, which is entirely correct. But the question comes here is, why we are going for only corner points? Why not other points? You are having infinite number of points, right? So the question comes, why we are going for only corner points? Maybe you may get these type of questions. I mean interview type of questions. Okay. So maybe in GATE examination they will never ask like this. But you should know why we are using or why we are considering only corner points. So can you answer this question? So definitely correct. Whatever you are saying, it is correct. Now my question is, why we are considering only corner points? Why not other points? Because corner points gives maximum profit. Now let's understand this clearly, okay? Let's understand this clearly. Why we are taking only or why we are considering only corner points. That thing we are going to see now, okay? Now, so to understand this, let us consider a point here. Let us say it is 1, 1. Let us say 1, 1, it is a point. So now if this is a feasible point, now if you substitute this 1, 1 in the objective function, you will get some solution which is known as feasible solution. Okay. Now what I am doing is, now we have to maximize the problem. Now I am moving in this direction. So if I am moving in this direction, what will happen? Your x2 will be constant and your x1 will be increasing. So maybe if your x1 is increasing, what will happen? Your objective function will be definitely increasing. Now let us say if I am moving in this direction also, what will happen? Your x1 will be constant and your x2 will be increasing, and definitely your objective function will also be increasing. Or let us say if I am moving like this, what will happen? Again, both x1 and x2 will be increasing and your objective function will also increase. Okay. So like this, up to which point I can move? I can reach boundary. I cannot go beyond the boundary because we will be moving outside the feasible region. Similarly, whenever you are moving like this also, you can reach up to boundary. Definitely at the boundary, you will be getting a value which is greater than this particular value. Similarly, whenever you are moving like this also, you will be reaching the boundary only. Okay. So now this is the maximization problem. That's why we are moving in this direction. That means we are trying to maximize the objective function. If it is a minimization problem, we will be moving downwards in this direction. That's all. Okay. Now the conclusion from this particular thing is, you will be getting a better solution. So listen this statement carefully, because I am not saying optimal solution. Okay. You will be getting a better solution on the boundary of this particular polygon when compared to the point which is inside the feasible region. Okay. So definitely you will be getting a better solution on the boundary of this particular feasible region or this particular polygon. Okay. So that is why we are not considering the points which are inside the feasible region. So we are only interested on the points which are present on the boundary of the polygon or boundary of the feasible region. That means definitely our optimal solution will be lying on the boundary of this particular feasible region or this polygon. Okay. So this is our first conclusion. So again on the boundary also, you will be having infinite number of points, right? So again, how to find which point is optimal? Now to find that, let's plot objective function also in this particular graph. Okay. So I'm just assuming that your z value is 30. Let us assume. I'm just taking an assumption that your z value is 30. We will see whether this assumption is correct or not. So I'm just taking 6x1 plus 5x2 is equal to 30. Now we can plot this straight line in the graph. So put x1 equal to 0, x2 will be 6, and put x2 equal to 0, x1 will be 5. So plot this particular objective function. So 0, 6 and 5, 0. So this will be your objective function. Now whatever the assumption which we have taken is equal to 30, is it correct? So please follow the things, okay? So I am giving you the reason. No need to worry. So Saurav, have you got, why we are interested in the corner, why we are interested in the boundary points? That means, obviously you will be getting a better solution on the boundary of this feasible region. That means our optimal solution will also lie on the boundary of this particular feasible region. I hope that you might have understood. Okay. Now on the boundary also you will be having infinite number of points, right? Okay. Now on the boundary also you will be having infinite number of points. Among those infinite number of points, so I was talking about this feasible region. So first conclusion what we have done. So you will be having, always you will get a better solution on the boundary of this particular polygon. Okay. So again on the boundary also you will be having some infinite number of points. So among those infinite number of points, how to find out the optimal solution? For that, we have plotted objective function also here. So already you have told that, so what are the assumption which we have taken is equal to 30, it is wrong, because this particular z equation or this particular straight line, it is not touching the feasible region. Okay. So if it is not touching the feasible region, then definitely the assumption which we have taken is equal to 30, it is wrong. Now how to make this how to make this objective function line touch the feasible region? You have to decrease the value, you have to decrease this particular value. So if you decrease this particular value 30, what will happen? This particular straight line will be moving like this. Will come downward like this. Okay. Now whenever this particular objective function line is moving, what will happen? Definitely it will touch us, or it will be touching this particular corner point of the polygon. Definitely. Okay. So while moving in this direction, so definitely first this particular objective function line, first it touches the corner point, this one. Now this will be your optimal point. That means at this particular point you will get maximum value for this function. Okay. Now you can take any shape of the polygon. So linear shapes I am talking, okay, not non-linear shapes. You can take any shape of the polygon. Definitely whenever this particular z or objective function line is moving, definitely it touches corner points only. Okay. So this statement you have to understand. You can take any shape of the polygon. Definitely your objective function line first touches corner points only. Okay. Now, so as this is the maximization problem, so this will be your maximum value or optimal value. Now let us say if it is a minimization problem, then what we have to do? You have to decrease, or you have to go on decreasing your objective function value. What will happen? So before leaving the feasible region, your z line will be touching this origin point at the end. So before leaving the feasible region, it will be touching this origin point and then it will leave. Okay. So now this origin point will be your minimum value. Okay. So if it is a maximization problem, at this point you will get maximum value. If it is a minimization problem, at this point you will get minimum value, which is 0. So this is the case, or these are the conditions. Okay. So why we are considering only corner points? This is the reason. So I hope you have understood. So now you can ask your doubts. Okay. So what is the first condition? So you will get a better solution on the boundary. So we are interested only on the boundary points. Now the second condition we have seen of drawing this objective function line. So whenever it is moving in this direction, definitely it will be touching the corner points only. So whenever it is touching the corner point, that will be your maximum value. So before leaving the feasible region, it will be touching this particular point. So this will be your minimum value. So corner points contains both maximum value and minimum value. Very good. Yes, you can conclude that. So corner points contains both maximum values and minimum values. Now one more point, if you want, I will add. So it may be a maximization problem or it may be a minimization problem. So how to solve a given problem using graphical method? Plot the constraints. Okay. Plot the constraints. Identify the feasible region. plot the constraints. Second one, identify the feasible region. So after identifying the feasible region, find out the corner points, okay. So this is your corner point 0, 0 and this corner point is 0, 5 and this is 4, 0. Let us name them like A, B, C and D. So now how to find out this particular point, point C? How to find out this point? So just solve these two straight line equations. You will get this intersecting point. Basic mathematics. So what are these two straight line equations? x1 plus x2 is equal to 5 and 3x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 12. So to solve these two equations, please don't use your ES or MS calculus, because maybe using those calculus you can solve the equations, but using virtual calculus you cannot solve the equations. Okay, so just try to solve these equations manually. Don't use your calculators. Okay, so just multiply this equation with 3 on both sides. What will happen? 3x1 plus 3x2 is equal to 15. So what will happen here? x2 will be 3. So if x2 is 3, x1 will be 2. So this point C will be 2, 3. So whenever you are finding or whenever you are solving a question using graphical method, find out the corner points and you just evaluate your z value at the corner points, irrespective of the type of function. That means it may be a maximization problem or it may be a minimization problem. Just evaluate your z value at the corner points. So among those different z values, one value will be maximum and other value will be minimum. So depending upon the type of the problem, you can choose that particular value. That's all. So now evaluate this at the corner points. So what you will be getting? So I am just erasing this part. So z value at 0, 0 and z value at 0, 5, z value at 2, 3 and then z value at 4, 0. So it will be 0. So this will be 25. I think this is 27. This will be 24. Okay. So given problem is a maximization problem. So this will be your answer. So if it was a minimization problem, then this will be your answer. Okay. So again, for each and every question, no need to plot this objective function line. Okay. So we just have plotted this particular objective function line so as to understand why we are considering only corner points. That was the purpose. So for the questions, which you are going to get in GATE examination, no need to plot this objective function line. So what you have to do? So plot the constraints, identify the feasible region, find out the corner points, evaluate your objective function at the corner points. So according to the type of problem, maximum value or minimum value, you can choose among these values. So the answer for this particular question is 27. So please ask your doubts if you are having anything regarding this. So when we will be bringing objective function to touch the feasible region, we will get C as the optimal solution. Then why we are putting other corner points in Z and not only C to find the answer? See, this procedure whatever we have done, okay, so it is just to understand how this, why we are considering only corner points. So already I have told you in GATE examination, don't do this thing, don't do this procedure. Don't plot the objective function line for each and every question. It will become lengthy, okay. So don't plot objective function line for each and every question. So irrespective of this objective function line, just find out the corner points. Find out the corner points and evaluate your objective function. So directly you can say this is your optimal point. See, we don't know what is the slope or other things for other objective functions. So if you go on plotting the objective function line like this, the problem becomes very lengthy. So don't follow this procedure, okay. So don't plot this objective function line. You can just find out like this.